New Minimax Agent update is insane. You are wasting hours building presentations the hard way, slide by slide, formatting, reformatting, tweaking colors, starting over. And the worst part, you could have had the same result in minutes. While you've been grinding through PowerPoint, a tool called Minimax Agent just dropped an update that changes how this whole process works. And I'm going to show you exactly what it does and how to use it. Today, we're covering the Minimax Agent update, specifically what's new with the M2.5 model powering it, what the Mini Agent project on GitHub actually is, and what this whole thing means for anyone who builds documents, decks, or does any kind of research or analytical work. And I'll show you a specific workflow that's genuinely useful right now. So stick around because the part about the McKinsey-style consulting deck feature is something most people haven't caught yet. Let's get into it. So first, what is Minimax? Minimax is an AI company that has been building models and a platform called Minimax Agent. Think of it like a ChatGPT or Claude equivalent, but with some very specific capabilities around creating documents, presentations, and doing complex agentic tasks. The big news right now is their new model, called M2.5, which they've deployed into Minimax Agent. This is a frontier-level model, meaning it's competing with the top models from Google and Anthropic, and the benchmarks are genuinely impressive. M2.5 scored 80.2% on SWE Bench Verified, which is one of the main coding benchmarks the industry uses. It hit 76.3% on BrowseComp, which measures how well a model searches the web and uses tools. And it scored 51.3% on Multi-SWE Bench, which is a multilingual coding benchmark where it actually hit the top of the industry rankings. These aren't small numbers. We're talking about a model that competes with the very best out there. But here's what makes this interesting for most people, because most of you aren't here because you care about coding benchmarks. What matters is what this model actually does differently in practice. Minimax trained M2.5 specifically to work with senior professionals in finance, law, and social sciences. They had domain experts actively designing requirements and contributing to the training data. The goal was to make the model produce genuinely deliverable outputs in real work environments, not just technically correct text, but work that a professional would actually hand over to a client or a manager. In evaluations on Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, and Excel financial modeling tasks, M2.5 achieved a 59% average win rate against mainstream models using pairwise comparison. That means when reviewers compared outputs side by side, M2.5 was chosen as better more than half the time across all these categories. And this is where Minimax Agent gets really useful for the kind of work most people are actually doing. Now, let me talk about the specific feature that's been getting attention. Inside Minimax Agent, there's a dedicated PPT agent that creates presentations. They recently upgraded this to a brand new model specifically for presentation generation, which reduced costs and improved performance and stability according to their own changelog. But more importantly, this feature builds professional slide decks in a way that goes beyond what you'd expect. Inside Minimax Agent, if you go to the Experts section, there's a specialist agent called a McKinsey-style slide deck generator. This isn't a cute gimmick. The description says it's a professional presentation generator for data-rich, research-backed presentations with charts, market analysis, and industry insights. It creates formal, information-dense slides with proper source citations. The style is specifically based on how top-tier strategy consulting firms structure their presentations. There's also a separate visual content generation agent that creates infographics, charts, dashboards, timelines, flowcharts, and mind maps from scratch using AI image generation. So depending on what you need, you've got specialist agents to cover it. The workflow is simple. You describe what you want, the agent builds the structure, generates the content, applies the formatting, and outputs something you can export as either a PDF or a PPTX file. Minimax has been actively improving the PPTX export quality, upgrading their HTML to PPTX conversion to improve visual fidelity, and significantly improving the export speed. These are real changes they've documented in their changelog. Now let me talk about the Mini Agent project on GitHub, because this is a completely different thing and it's worth understanding what it actually is. Mini Agent is an open source project published by Minimax on GitHub. The description is clear. It's a minimal yet professional demo project that showcases best practices for building agents with the M2.5 model. This is not a consumer product. This is a reference implementation for developers who want to understand how to build agents using the Minimax M2.5 model as the backbone. What does it actually include? It has a full agent execution loop with file system and shell operation tools built in. It has persistent memory through a session note tool, which means the agent retains key information across multiple sessions. It has intelligent context management that automatically summarizes conversation history to handle very long tasks. And it comes with 15 professional skills covering documents, design, testing, and development. It also supports something called Agent Communication Protocol, or ACP, which lets it integrate with code editors like Zed. And it uses an API that is compatible with Anthropic's format, which means if you're already familiar with how Claude's API works, you can apply that knowledge here. This is relevant if you're a developer or if you want to understand how to build custom workflows on top of M2.5. The model itself is fully open sourced on Hugging Face with support for private deployment and fine-tuning. So you're not locked into Minimax's platform if you want to go deeper. But here's what I want you to take away from all of this, even if you never touch the GitHub project. The model powering Minimax Agent is genuinely strong. Minimax's own data shows that at Minimax's headquarters, 30% of all tasks are now completed by M2.5, and 80% of newly committed code is generated by M2.5. That's not a marketing claim about what AI could do for you.